Hello, this is Learn to Love Yourself, Serenity with Rosie. And today's topic is embrace your authenticity. But first, I want to take a deep breath, calm my energies, and I want to invite my spirit guides and your spirit guides to be with us at this time. So, what does it mean to embrace your authenticity? To me, it means the pure and hard truth, pure and raw truth of who you are at your core. And so, who are you? And I know that, like me, I will share some of the experiences that I've had, not in depth, but just a little bit of it, so that you can understand that you're not alone, and that I know what it's like to hurt. I know what it's like to deal with pain. You're not alone in this. There is a way through it. So, who am I at my core? Because you are what experiences you have been through. And it's hard. This journey, this becoming creators, learning to manifest, even though it's a school, it can seem very, very harsh at times. And so I understand. I feel your pain. And so as a lot of you know, I was raised in a cult for 30 years of my life. And to break that conditioning, to break that mold that you were grown up, you were raised in, that's all you knew. It was a bit scary. It was, that's to put it mildly. It was very scary. And I know I want to be more open and to portray as correct as I can my feelings on it. But it was one of the hardest things. Leaving that church was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Not the fact that it was just for me, but the fact that I have children. I have small children that were impacted by my decisions. And that is a very, very intimidating choice when you look at things, because then things don't just affect you, it affects their lives. And could I give them a better life than they could have? And we all have to just work at it and do the best that we can, because that is all that matters. It only matters that we try and that we do our best. So the other thing I want to bring up is I have had an arranged marriage, and it was very scary. And I have you can watch my channel on it, when I told my story. And but growing up, it seemed not as big of a deal as it actually is, because you were conditioned to think that way. And so was the fact that I wasn't aware as much as I am now, it would seem like you're shielded in a way because you don't know. Innocence is bliss, right? It wasn't bliss, but entirely, but you know what I mean. So I even had an experience where my children and we were in victims protection for a week. And that was another scary experience. But it's just, there's so many things that can happen. And the biggest thing is you deciding that you need a change, something needed to change. So you made that change. You're brave enough, you're strong enough to make that change when you felt that somebody wasn't treating you the way you deserved. And so being able to know your own worth and value is so important. I mean, I've been cheated on when I've been in relationships. I know how painful that is. I know that's harsh. And lied to, that's a whole nother thing. And when you're just taken for granted, or people taking your quietness or your not giving them a straight answer, just being more reserved, and people think that you're just stupid because you didn't say anything. And so I understand how it is hard to be that. And from being in the church, I know how it is when you have to manipulate people to survive. I had to double cross my bishop and my caretaker to find a way out that I could leave with my children safely. And I'm not condoning bad behavior, but I do understand that certain times, certain places, you have to make certain choices. And it's just like saying, if somebody is in a prison cell and they don't tell their guard all the truth, are they wrong? And personally, I don't think so. But everyone has their own beliefs. So I'm not saying that I'm condoning that kind of behavior, but I'm saying is I want to stand for freedom. I want to stand for truth. I want to stand for loving yourself and to spread love through this world, because that's what I'm here for. I've had a heart attack when it was brought up that my kids could get taken away from me before I left the church. I actually had a heart attack because I was so worried. And so I know how that feels, to feel like all inside of you, and it's different than I even learned from running ambulance and being an EMTI. It just was a crushing, like not even so much that, but it felt like I had a blood pressure cuff around my chest, and it was just squeezing and squeezing, and I couldn't breathe against it. And so there's that. And then I've had a stroke that whited over half my brain, and I had to learn a lot, and it's been 5 years now, and I look back at that and I think it was so interesting, but I think I was protected because things could have been a lot harder, but in a way, it's changed my life. And would I change that? Do I regret it? I see that I could have made better choices, and therefore I wouldn't have had to, but would I appreciate what I have now had I not had that experience? And that's one of the things that you have to remember when you're having a hard time and a hard experience is these lessons. It's not to be harsh. It's just to help you realize how blessed you are and how much you have in your lives. Because all of it can be taken away in a moment. You don't know. All right, and then, which I have not covered this with the channel yet, and I will. I had an episode, and it's actually what made me decide to leave the church. I didn't breathe for 10 minutes. I have a pre-existing lung lung problems, and my lungs, they didn't clear collapse, but I didn't breathe for 10 minutes is what I was told. And so I actually had an out of body experience where I viewed myself outside of my body. And it was so interesting because everybody tells you their different life experiences, how they go to heaven or they go to hell or whatever. I didn't go to either place. It was actually really, really peaceful. And even though I knew I was over there laying on the couch, I was just worried because the people around me that I saw, my family, my friends, they were crying and they were sad. And so it's just interesting, the different things, and I will tell my story on that. But I've had physical abuse, verbal abuse, and I know how that is. You know, I think I might have been 12 years old the first time I got told I was going to hell. And after a while, you just, I don't know, it's changed my perception on what I think heaven and hell is. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying that I know it, but I think people create their own heaven and hell by their actions and what they do. So it's more of an idea than an actual place. But that's just my take on it. And the other one I had is I had a severe concussion where I don't really remember much for about 2 weeks. It was, I don't know, I can't say it was really scary because I don't know, I don't really remember. But I was grateful through all of these situations. I've been very blessed. I've had people around me at the time to help me understand, to help me see, to be there. And so even if you're having a hard time or you're struggling, if you look around, there's always someone there. There's always someone to help you, to tell you, if you reach out, to ask, because you're never alone. Someone is always there. And again, I'm not telling you this to say, oh, look at me, this is what I did. This is just to let you know. And I will continue just to tell my story on YouTube, but it's to help you know that you are seen, you are heard, and I understand a lot more than you consider. I feel your pain. But the thing that I want to shift to, being all of this, all of the struggles you've had, all of the questioning you've endured, all of the everything that you've ever experienced, what do you want your life to be? We know what it was. We know what you've gone through. You know what you've gone through. But what do you want the rest of your life to be like? Where do you want to be in 5 years? What improvements, what changes? How happy do you want to be? How free do you want to be? And the biggest thing is, especially as we're entered into this new age of time, and it's so exciting and so exhilarating, and all of the changes as we see the old world crumble and fall away, and the new world is taking its place. It's daunting, but it's so exciting to be able to be here. And so I just want to thank all of you for being on this journey with me, because I have learned so much from everyone, and I appreciate it. So I just want you to know that you are magic. Even if you haven't found that magic yet, it's there. Because I see magic in everyone I've been around. And if there's magic in me, there's magic in you. Because we're all the same. Maybe at different levels, but we're all the same. So, I just want to send love to all of you. And never forget, you are not alone on this journey. Someone is always there if you just reach out. So, you guys have a wonderful night.